And welcome to the bright side once again. Thank you for joining us. All right, thanks for joining us on the bright side, friends. I am Pharmacist Ben, and you are listening to the bright side. Our number is 844-236-6010. We welcome your phone calls if you have questions about health, nutrition, or prescription drugs, or you want to wean yourself off your meds or get on a good nutritional supplement program, or if you have a success story you'd like to share, if you just want to contribute to the conversation, 844-236-6010 is our number, and we'll get your calls in our next segment. We have a guest coming up at the bottom of the hour I am so psyched about. Sonia Barrett has been on the program multiple times. I started following Sonia's work maybe 15, 20 years ago. I read a book called The Holographic Canvas, which she's written. Since then, she's written a few other books. And we're going to talk a little bit about COVID and a little bit about the spiritual and metaphysical aspects of COVID, of current events, of health and wellness. She's actually somewhat of an expert on health and wellness, and she's written a lot of books about health and wellness and about the industrial or corporate aspects of health. Sonia will be up at the bottom of the hour. We'll get your calls, 844-236-6010. In our next segment, if you want to purchase longevity products, please go to brightsideben.com, pharmacistben.com, or criticalhealthnews.com. And also, if you want to sign up to join the Brightside Ben team, if you want to start a longevity business, now is the perfect time to start a home-based business. Do not complain about the terrible economy and the economic impacts of current events, because you have an opportunity to change your life, your financial life, and your health life by signing up to join the Brightside Ben team and beginning a home-based business, taking control of your financial as well as physical health with the longevity business opportunity. Call 866-735-2470 for more info. For a one-time $30 fee, you can be in business for yourself. You can also sign up to join the Brightside Ben team off the websites brightsideben.com, pharmacistben.com, or criticalhealthnews.com. And don't forget to take a look at our Truth Skin Health products at truthtreatments.com. Never any preservatives, fragrances, fillers, waxes, emulsifiers, silicone oil, water, nothing your skin doesn't need or doesn't want in any of our Truth Skin Health products. They're all up at truthtreatments.com, truthtreatments.com, and check out our nutritional supplements at truthnourishment.com. Thank you to Robert Lundgren for setting that one up. Sonia Barrett coming up at the bottom of the hour. Author, visionary, executive producer of the award-winning documentary The Business of Disease, author of The Holographic Canvas, A Journey of Possibilities, Health and Inside Job, and her newest book, her latest book, Simple Ways to Step Out of Your Comfort Zone. And indeed, that is what we're dealing with. We're dealing with stepping out of our comfort zone in terms of current events. Now you got riots, people looting, all kinds of madness and craziness. Really, what we're witnessing, a historic manifestation of change, epic, biblical, historic, epochal change that's occurring in our society and in our culture. And in a way, it's a privilege to be part of it. It's a privilege to be part of this historic change that's occurring in our society, and really historic opportunity, because as we've said so many times in this program, crisis equals opportunity, and the bigger the crisis, the bigger the opportunity. A couple things I want to talk about here today. I don't even know what I want to start with. Well, let me start off with, I was going over my top 10 favorite longevity products in no particular order, with the exception of number one, which is definitely my favorite longevity product. We talked about the ultimate niacin as being important for cholesterol, blood pressure, the circulatory system, blood sugar, mental health, the signs of niacin deficiency, the 4 cardinal signs of niacin deficiency: diarrhea, dermatitis, dementia, and ultimately death. Diarrhea just means GI problems, and if you're dealing with intractable or unknown or mysterious gastrointestinal problems, you may need some niacin. If you're dealing with unknown or intractable dermatitises or skin rashes, you may need some niacin. And if you're dealing with cognitive difficulties, and if you're dealing with dementia or pre-dementia, or you know somebody who's dealing with dementia, you may need, you may be manifesting the symptoms of a niacin deficiency. You may need some ultimate niacin. We talked about the Restart Your Life beta-glucan as being one of the most powerful immune boosters you could ever use. I use beta-glucan in my skincare products. It's got wonderful topical benefits, but it's also very important for building the immune system. We talked about the ultimate EFAs. Essential fatty acids are important for so many things. Essential fatty acids are like a natural form of estrogen. They're like a natural statin drug. They carry an electronic charge with them. They're highly electrical. They're important for cell membranes. They're critically important for skin health. In fact, if you take essential fatty acids out of the diet of an animal and in a laboratory, one of the first things that happens is they start to suffer skin problems, coat problems. If you want your dog or your cat to have a real beautiful coat, give them essential fatty acids. Crack open an Ultimate EFA capsule with a pin, or give them an egg. Eggs are great sources of essential fatty acids. I like the Ultimate EFAs because you get omega-6s and omega-3s. They're in perfect balance. Plus, you get vitamin E. We talked about the glucogel caps as being important not just for arthritis, but also for the immune system, also for the blood, also for the circulatory system, and also for the skin, especially when it comes to anti-aging. We talked about the ultimate enzymes as being important not just for digestive health, but also as pain relieving and also as blood thinning. We talked about the Fuchs Z as being important for blood thinning and the immune system. We talked about the I-26 immune egg, where they vaccinate, where they inoculate chickens with various bacteria to induce the production of antibodies which show up in the eggs. The eggs are then used as or turned into a powder, which is then sold as a supplement called I-26. And then we haven't talked about the last three. Today I want to talk about the Nightly Essence real quick, which is one of my top 10 favorite longevity products. I like the Nightly Essence because it has a multiple spectrum of bacteria, and it's got a lot of them. It's got 14 different types of bacteria, plus it has digestive enzymes, and no ordinary digestive enzymes. In addition to proteases, bromelain, and papain, it also has something called Cypros S, which, like all digestive enzymes, is important for helping heal the skin, especially post-surgically. Reading from the Italian journal Minerva Gynecology. I don't know what that means, but it has something to do with female health. Clinical effectiveness and safety of Cypros S, which is found in your Nightly Essence, in the treatment of complications of gynecological surgical wounds. It's not just gynecological surgical wounds. All wound healing benefits from the ingestion of digestive enzymes. And when you use your Nightly Essence, not only are you going to get a multiple spectrum of good bacteria, but you'll also get digestive enzymes. As we said, important for wound healing, important for pain relief, important for, obviously important for the digestive system, also important for the circulatory system. If you're dealing with symptoms of dirty blood, and you know you're dealing with symptoms of dirty blood, if you have any chronic health challenge, digestive enzymes can help thin the blood, break up fibroids and clots, improve circulation, and improve all the manifestations, the chronic disease manifestations of sludgy, dirty blood. You see why I like this Nightly Essence so much? Of course, it's awesome for your digestive system. If you're dealing with any kind of intestinal digestive problems, you need to be on a good probiotic supplement. Start yourself off on the Nightly Essence. Now, probiotics are a little tricky. We'll talk about that when we come back from our break. We've got Sonia Barrett coming up at the bottom of the hour. We'll get your phone calls next segment, too. 844-236-6010 is our number. You're listening to The Bright Side. All right, we're back on The Bright Side. I am Pharmacist Ben. Thanks for joining us. Got Sonia Barrett coming up at the bottom of the hour. She's an author and a visionary and a very, very insightful and wise woman. Her book's The Holographic Canvas, A Journey of Possibilities, Health, An Inside Job, and Simple Ways to Step Out of Your Comfort Zone. She's also got movies. She's the executive producer of The Business of Disease, which, if you are interested in the kind of stuff we talk about on this program, presumably you are because you're listening, this is a super movie that talks all about the idea of the unholy marriage between corporations and health. And I would propose that our significant health crisis, the major health crisis that we're dealing with in terms of chronic and degenerative disease, is in large part, if not 100%, the result of the business of disease, the unholy marriage between corporations and health, which is why we always say on this program, be your own health authority. Your doctor does not work for you. Your doctor works for the corporation, with some rare exceptions, and I'm not ripping on doctors here. I'm ripping on the medical model, which has sold itself out. The medical model has sold itself out to drug companies. It's sold itself out to hospital companies and HMOs and corporations. And who's the loser? Us. And by the way, individual doctors are the losers too. Their job satisfaction among individual doctors is not high. A lot of doctors don't like being doctors. That's because they're working for the man. They're not working for the people. They're working for the man. And anyway, Sonia Barrett talks a lot about that. Her movie's The Business of Disease, and her books are awesome. She's got a great Facebook page. She does webinars. I should say a great website and great Facebook page. She also does very cool webinars. We're going to talk to Sonia at the bottom of the hour. We'll get your calls. This segment, 844-236-6010. Before we went to break, we were talking about one of my top 10 favorite longevity products, the Longevity Nightly Essence, probiotics, and digestive enzymes, in addition to proteases. Papain and bromelain. Papain is a protein. By the way, ACE at the end of a word means it's an enzyme. Protease is a protein enzyme, like lipase is a fat enzyme, and amylase is a carbohydrate or sugar dissolving enzyme. Proteases, digestive enzymes that dissolve proteins, have incredible blood thinning and blood cleaning properties. And one of the digestive enzymes in the Longevity Nightly Essence is something called C-Pros-S. There's also another digestive enzyme called nattokinase, both of which are very, very valuable for cardiovascular and circulatory health issues. So how do you like that? You take a probiotic, which, by the way, are the trickiest of all supplements. And I said before we went to break that you want to start off your supplement program with the Nightly Essence, but some folks will need to different formulas. And that's the thing about probiotics. Probiotics are unusual in the world of supplements because they're living. They're alive. They're bacteria. Vitamins are not bacteria. They're not alive. Minerals are not bacteria. They're not alive. No other supplements are cells. Probiotics are living cells. And this makes them a little bit tricky to store, a little bit tricky to use. And sometimes people will get benefits from one formula and not from another. If you find that you're supplementing with one formula and you're not getting the benefits that you want, try upping your dose. If you find that that doesn't help, try experimenting with another formula. Probiotics you need to experiment with. So I say start off with the Nightly Essence. It's got 14 different types of bacteria plus digestive enzymes. And in all likelihood, you're going to get some good benefits from it. If you don't, you play around. And by the way, fermented foods are also a great way to support your microbiome and get good bacteria into your system. So in addition to your Nightly Essence and probiotic supplements, make sure you're eating kimchi and miso and sauerkraut and fermented beets. In fact, there's a really cool book called The Art of Fermentation, which I've talked about multiple times on this program. The Art of Fermentation actually has great recipes to make your own fermented food. It's super easy to make. All you need is a little bit of starter and some veggies, bacterial starter and some veggies. Just throw the starter in your cabbage or your beets, cover it up for a little bit, and a couple days you got your own fermented beets or fermented cabbage or whatever kind of veggies you happen to be fermenting. Nightly Essence. We'll talk about my last two favorite longevity products tomorrow and the next day on the bright side. 844-236-6010. I read this really cool article. I posted it on my Facebook page, by the way. Love to have you follow us on our Facebook page, The Bright Side with Pharmacist Ben. We do our Moments of Truth. Every day I do a 1 to 2 minute video on some particular subject that I find interesting. Today I did one on mindfulness and pain. They're all posted. All our Moments of Truth are posted on our Facebook page, The Bright Side with Pharmacist Ben. I also post articles and just things I find inspirational. And I encourage you guys to post too, encourage you guys to comment on our posts and share what you're thinking. That's The Bright Side with Pharmacist Ben. Thanks, Nasima, for setting that up. Anyway, I posted an article that really got my attention. This is from the New England Journal of Medicine. And it got my attention, also ticked me off. This is from New England Journal of Medicine, May 28th. Masks are symbolic, says Dr. Fauci in the New England Journal of Medicine. We know that, this is a direct quote from the New England Journal of Medicine. We know that wearing a mask, we know that wearing a mask outside health and healthcare facilities offers little, if any, protection from infection. We know that wearing a mask outside healthcare facilities offers little, if any, protection from infection. And then it goes on to say, it is also clear that masks serve symbolic roles. Masks are talismans. A talisman is witchcraft. It's magic. It's a device that's used to impart a magical spell. This is the New England Journal of Medicine saying masks are magic. They're talismans. They're symbols. They increase a perceived sense of safety, well-being, and trust magically. And at the same time, we have Bloomberg News telling us that we're going to be wearing masks forever. Got to find this article. According to Bloomberg News, you're never going to not be wearing a mask. You'll be wearing a mask the rest of your life. That's what the mainstream wants us to be doing, wearing masks the rest of our life, despite the fact they're irrelevant when it comes to health, number one. And they're magical spells that have a symbolic impact. They don't say what they're symbolic of, though. I think they're symbolic of domination and control. Maybe you don't. Stuff that passes for health in our culture is insanity. Half insanity, half moronity. And unfortunately, we have medical authorities, we have health authorities perpetuating the insanity and the moronity. All right. 844-236-6010 is our number. Sonia Barrett coming up in the next segment. Let's go to the phones and welcome Elizabeth to the bright side. What's up, Elizabeth?
Hi. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? I'm a little ranting today, a little ticked off today, but that's okay. What's going on?
No, I think I okay. Anyway, so I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
I've heard you and Dr. Wallach talk many times about the skull and osteoporosis.
Yes.
And I was wondering, have you seen people or heard of actual, like, the deterioration of tissue and bone? And
yes,
seen
it's
it?
a great question. That's a great question, and we only got a few seconds here. Osteoporosis is basically just a porosity of the bone, a weakness of the bone. It's a degenerative issue of the bone. I don't even call it a disease. The medical model wants us to think it's a disease because then they can charge you and bill you and treat you. Osteoporosis is simply deterioration of the body that occurs over the course of time due to bad living and just aging and gravity, for that matter. It happens in the bone. The bone is connective tissue, and it's the same thing as wrinkles. It's the same thing as defective blood vessels. It's not a disease state. It's simply the manifestation of breakdown of the body that's associated with aging and poor lifestyle choices. Hey, I hope you call back tomorrow. I'm out of time, Elizabeth, but I'd love to continue this discussion. We are back on the bright side. I'm Pharmacist Ben. We're on the air Monday through Friday, 8 to 9 Pacific, 10 to 11 Central, and 24/7 on the archive page at brightsideben.com. Also, we have an archive, a searchable archive page, benfuchsarchives.com. Thank you to Peter in the UK for setting that one up. And also, longevity products can be had at brightsideben.com, pharmacistben.com, or criticalhealthnews.com. And don't forget to take a look at our Truth Skin Health products, all formulated in my compounding pharmacy to heal wounds. What I discovered was when you heal a wound, you beautify the skin. And that's what our Truth treatments are. They are formerly prescription products, now available over the counter. Never any preservatives, fragrances, fillers, waxes, emulsifiers, water, silicone, vegetable oil, nothing your skin doesn't need or doesn't want in any of our Truth Skin Health products, all available at truthtreatments.com, truthtreatments.com. All right, I am so excited to have our guest on. She has been, I don't follow a lot of people, but I definitely follow Sonia Barrett. Her work is just impeccable, awesome, visionary. You definitely want to check it out. You can just Google her. Her website is therealsoniabarrett.com. And I don't know why she'd say that, because there's only one Sonia Barrett as far as I'm concerned. She's an author. She's also the producer of a cool movie called The Business of Disease. We've had Sonia on in the past. Her book's The Holographic Canvas, which I read many years ago. That's when I got turned on to Sonia's work. Also, A Journey of Possibilities, A Health and Inside Job, and her newest book, which came out a couple years ago, is Simple Ways to Step Outside Your Comfort Zone. Please welcome to the bright side, Sonia Barrett. Hey, Sonia.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me back on your show. Always a pleasure.
You are an amazing, amazing human being, and your work is so voluminous. You're so prolific, and I have yet to hear one syllable come out of your mouth that's not 100% right on. So it's really just I don't have a lot of people on the program multiple times, but you're one of those folks that are on as often as I can get you on. I'll have you on here. I wanted to get your insight on the craziness that's going on in the world. I know you've got some interesting things to say about fear and about how to manage crises and change, specifically with what's going on in terms of COVID and in terms of all this kind of craziness with masks and government mandates and vaccines. What is your perspective on all this stuff that's happening? In a nutshell.
I'm laughing because there's so much
that
I know.
It's
like the meaning of life, Sonia.
Yeah.
What's the meaning of life?
Well, give me one thing that comes. Give one thing that comes to mind.
It's pretty wild, Ben. I do feel like I'm in, Twilight Zone or in an Alfred Hitchcock film or, one of those. But where do we even begin? Yes, there's a lot going on right now, and I think more than anything else, fear is being sold. Fear and death are being sold, and one of the things, a human being's core fear and survival instincts always go back to staying alive and not dying. It's everybody's core thing, a core program in terms of a human being, and so this is where a lot of this fear is stemming from. Anything that threatens our survival, or we feel that it threatens our survival, we react. And obviously, health is a major component because health is often associated with decline, right? With either, you're not feeling well, but it could lead to, you not existing, annihilation. And so that is definitely being pumped. And I think that a lot of people, there's many people that don't really, they aren't really able to stop and really listen and to really assess what is being said, how things are being done, and to even their own lives, their own personal lives, where they stand. And I think this is what is required at this time, because there's a lot of misinformation, and people are reacting to the fear in terms of this virus. And I've done quite a few interviews and talks about it, and I've put out a lot of different things just trying to help people to come back to center. The emphasis here, if we're just going to talk about the virus or health, is the one thing that people need to know more than anything else is simply ensure that your immune system is optimum.
Yeah, we've been saying that.
Simply pay attention to what you are eating and doing and your stress, because this could be somebody's demise. The stress and the fear will affect a person's health quicker than just, worrying about getting the virus. And so people really need to reel it in terms of the marketing. That's what I call it, the marketing of fear and the marketing of this virus.
Sonia, do you think, speculation now, do you think that it's intentional, that the power structure, those who are perpetuating this fear, understand that dynamic that you just described about that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. They're piggybacking off of this. I mean, that's why when in the very beginning I was like, there's so many layers to this, and some of it, yes, is things you can talk about in public, and other things you just can't talk about it on public platforms. But I think that this is so much deeper, and history speaks for itself. People forget that. They really forget the history of government and ruling structures, not just here in the United States, but all over. What happens when people get drunk with power? People are coming to the table in terms of running countries and cities and towns and all of that with all kinds of agendas. And this is no different. The mask has been one that caused so much controversy. I know with me, and even producing it on my show on the station that I do my live show, and people were all up in arms because of who I had on, and the fact that we're saying don't wear the mask, because we're explaining, what happens with doing that. And there are people that were just so opposed to hearing that.
Oh, my gosh.
They want to believe the system.
Yeah.
People want to trust the system. Mm-hmm. And unless the system, meaning the media, and those people that have been selected to be representatives of truth in informing the public, unless those people say these certain things, a lot of people won't believe it. They have to tell them. They're waiting on them to tell them what their next move is supposed to be. And that's how it's always been. And they bank on the majority. They bank on the behavior and the minds, the thinking of the majority, because it is the response and the reaction of the majority that is used to create these rules and laws that the little handful of us end up having to be part of. You know what I mean?
Do you find yourself getting angry, or do you control that?
I don't think it's anger. I think frustration, irritation.
Okay.
I think it's probably more like it, because if I were to get angry, then
your cortisol would go
they've
up.
Intercepted my space.
Yeah. Sonia, we got to take a quick break. We're talking to Sonia Barrett. You're listening to The Bright Side. I am Pharmacist Ben. We'll be back right after this. Okay, we are back on The Bright Side. I'm Pharmacist Ben. We're talking to Sonia Barrett, executive producer of The Business of Disease, author of The Holographic Canvas, A Journey of Possibility, also A Journey of Possibility, also Health and Insight, an inside and outside job, also simple ways to step out of your comfort zone. Her website is therealsoniabarrett.com. I encourage everyone to immerse yourself in everything this woman has to say. She's amazing. Sonia, you're just... I don't know where you're from, but I'm glad you're on planet Earth. We'll say that. You said something.
I'm trying to figure that out myself
I know,
as to what I was thinking when I took this trip.
Yeah, I know. And it comes out in everything you say and in how you say it, just so you know, to anybody who has eyes to see and ears to hear. You said something really intriguing in the last segment. You said that at the core of this is about not dying. And if you really want to boil it all down, that's what everything on top of it, all the scandals and the fear and the propaganda and all the stuff that's out there, it's all about exploiting human beings' fear of dying. And at that point, this becomes a spiritual crisis, not a physical crisis, because it's really that's the ultimate spiritual conundrum. This idea that we're in a bodies and we're going to die. And everything we do is built around that. Would you care to comment on that a little bit and how that's affecting our perspective on this COVID crisis?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's the core fear in all human beings is non-existence, is annihilation. And so, yes, it is being exploited. It has always been exploited because the consequences lead to not being here. And, it's not just the idea of being afraid that they're going to die. Nobody wants to leave the human game. That's another thing we need to understand. Yeah, we do. We are addicted to the game, and life is beautiful and wonderful with all of the complaining that we'll do. Nobody really wants to leave the game. You don't want to leave. And even when somebody commits suicide, it is because of their struggle to really be in the game. It's a survival reaction. It sounds contradictory, but it is. It's a survival response.
They're killing themselves.
It's the only way that they feel that they can survive.
They're killing themselves.
The idea of surviving, in a body, out of a body, but here that's exactly what it is. And so people have to find their center, their grounding. I think we have to be able to stop and recognize that core survival instinct or fear in all of us. And when we can own that, when we can stop and go, oh, wow, okay, now I see it, then we will have an opportunity individually to get centered, to get balanced, to get in touch with a deeper part of ourselves, and then we can hear the instructions that we're being given as to what our body needs, what it is that we need to do, and we can actually have an honest conversation with ourselves. That is first and foremost. And next is the fact that the body is so incredibly designed, so beautifully designed to be able to repair itself under the ideal conditions. So each person has to realize, okay, well, what are the ideal conditions? Well, if I'm wearing a mask and I'm still pulling it down to smoke a cigarette, or I'm still, I have my mask on, but I'm going to stop and I'm going to get some donuts and some sugar and some soda and whatever. If we're still doing that, then that person is actually setting themselves up, their bodies up, to not be able to function outside of that acid environment that they're creating that ultimately affects their immune system and their body's ability to fight not just this virus, but even the common cold. So I think it's a common sense stepping back and really just examining all of this, because everything I just said really is really quite simple. But if we're lost in fear, you can't see that. You can't see that, and then you're owned by the people that you're addicted to watching 24/7, coming on and doing all these press conferences, filling our people's heads with nothing but more fear.
Okay, we're talking to Sonia Barrett. Her website is therealsoniabarrett.com. Check it out. I love the metaphor of a game, and I've heard you talk about that before. I use it all the time. Games have objectives. If this is a game, what is the objective?
So if this is you're talking the human from the human perspective, the human game, the general human game. Well,
what's the objective?
The objective, as we can see, is you come here and you experience. We are experiencers, and it's not a biased set of experiences. It's a variety of experiences. Creation isn't biased. In creation, everything is allowed. That is why everything is allowed. Now, it's up to the individual as we grow, as we expand our knowledge and our understanding and begin to tap more deeply into ourselves, then our choices change. And our ability or someone's ability to stir fear very easily in us, all of that starts to diminish because we start going back to that place. But we are here to experience and grow from those experiences and make discoveries. Everybody isn't here on the same agenda. Everybody isn't here to go the extra mile of deep questioning and going down the rabbit hole. That's very clear. Some of us are here to ask much more profound questions, and every deeper question that we ask, and the deeper we go down the rabbit hole, then we have to decide, do we want to go even deeper? Because it's an endless expansion that we're talking about. Human beings have the opportunity to go through endless levels of expansion, and that means growth. That means a shift in consciousness. It's all of that we're here for on this amazing human ride.
So I love what you just said about a shift in consciousness, because you can experience the same thing, but if you're approaching it with a different consciousness, with a shift in consciousness, as you say, it becomes a different kind of experience, no?
I'm sorry, I missed the last part.
I said the shift in consciousness can change the experience, even if it's the same, appears to be the same experience. It's about the shift in consciousness.
Absolutely. And, it's like which came first, the chicken or the egg? Well, an awareness, it has to come in order for the consciousness to shift, because consciousness, when I'm talking about consciousness, I like people to realize we're talking about really expansive levels of awareness. When we say our consciousness is expanding or we're raising our consciousness, well, if your consciousness is being raised, it means that your awareness and your understanding keeps growing. It keeps getting into much more profound levels beyond just the standard protocol of reality that we're sort of running. It's like a basic operating system or a basic perception, a basic program of what reality is supposed to be. We start going beyond those prescriptions, the prescribed version and understanding of reality, because that's what we live. We live a prescription, a marketed reality. Reality is marketed to us, and I think people need to really understand that. What do I mean by that? I mean that life, how you are supposed to perceive things, or the prescription, like a doctor writes a prescription. The prescription involves a series of protocols and a series of acceptabilities in terms of what reality should look like, what's accepted, how far you can go with digging deeper, what those limitations are. Boundaries are sort of set in place. So a person has to recognize that and go, you know what? I want to know more, because guess what? It is my right. It is my right to know more and to ask deeper questions.
And to experience life as I want to, not as you tell me to experience life.
Exactly. Precisely.
But you have to kind of voluntarily do that. You have to actually ask for that, right? You can't. It's not just going to happen. Sonia, we're out of time. It goes by so fast whenever you're on the program. Sonia Barrett's website is therealsoniabarrett.com. She's got books and movies, and I just encourage you to dive deep into everything that Miss Barrett has to say. Sonia, thank you so much. I hope to see you in a couple of weeks. God bless you for everything you're doing, and it's just an honor to know you.
Thank you so much, Ben, and thanks to your audience as well.
Okay, take care, Sonia. That is Sonia Barrett. If you can't tell, I am definitely a fanboy of Sonia's work. The Holographic Canvas, The Journey of Possibilities. Get Health and Inside Job. That's particularly enlightening for folks who are interested in, presumably you are, in health and nutrition. And that's it for now on The Bright Side. I am Pharmacist Ben. Thanks for listening. Have a wonderful, beautiful, awesome, spectacular day, folks. We'll talk to y'all later. Bye for now.